trailhead. We're getting ready to start our Boundary Waters canoe trip. We need to take the Cross River over to Ham Lake, and then we'll get to entry point 50, Cross Bay Lake. We're going down to Cross Bay Lake and continue on from there. Dad's got the big blue pack in the canoe. Ham's has got her smaller blue pack and that little bag of stuff. I've got the food barrel, and then we have a Garcia food container in this pack. This is the Cross River. Alright, it's portage number 2. We're portaging around this. Well, we're finishing our second portage of the trip. This portage wasn't too bad. Well, we're still on the Cross River. We're headed towards Ham Lake. We made it to Ham Lake. We're getting closer to our entry point. We're in the BWCA. We're headed to Cross Bay Lake. We're on Cross Bay Lake. It sure is pretty.
So you can laugh at me.
We're still on Cross Bay Lake. I guess we found our home for the night on Cross Bay Lake, right across from the portage. We didn't have to go too far today. Well, it's day 1 of our trip. We came in here. We came down the Cross River, did a couple of portages, went across Ham, did a little portage, came down Cross Bay Lake and took this peninsula right here.
Thank you.
This is dehydrated enchilada rice with ground beef and Fritos and cheese. Well, there's our campsite on Cross Bay Lake. Check these guys out. There's my foot. That shows you how big they are. We're having hash browns and bacon for our first dinner. This is a fantastic spot for a tent pad. nice and far away from camp. There's a lot of trails going around here and there. It's kind of nice. There's my husband's relaxation station there. Let's go see what camp looks like. That is the landing. It's a pretty good landing. Well, there's the kitchen. There's my daughter's hammock. There it is, the brown volcano, the thunderbox, the throne. Call it what you will. It's here. There's an eagle flying over there. I don't know if you can see that guy. We're having potatoes with cheese and ground beef. Good morning. It's day 2 of our Boundary Waters canoe trip. We're in camp on Cross Bay Lake. We came in at entry point 50, came down the Cross River, Ham Lake, and Cross Bay Lake, entry point on Cross Bay Lake. We hear the intriguing sounds of a waterfall in the distance, so today we're going to go check out the cascades or waterfall or rapids or whatever we find over by the portage into Rib Lake. Dehydrated strawberries with sweet sour rice. The sweet sour rice has peas and chicken in it. It's the third day of our family's Boundary Water canoe trip. We're on Cross Bay Lake. We're headed over to Long Island Lake today, and if we don't find a campsite we like, we'll go on to Frost Lake as we make our way over to the Frost River. Our campsite on Cross Bay Lake, right about there, and we're headed over to Rib Lake. This portage isn't too bad, 40 or 50 rods, maybe 55, I don't know. There's a nice waterfall alongside this portage over from Cross Bay to Rib. We actually swam in it yesterday and rinsed off our hair and stuff. This portage has a little bit of a hill, but it's not that long and it's not too bad. We're headed into Rib Lake. After that we'll take Little George and then Carl, and then we will be on Long Island Lake. Hopefully the campsite we want is free. If not, we're headed over to Frost. This is Rib Lake. We just portaged over from Cross Bay. This is Rib Lake. We're getting ready to portage over to Little George. Portaging from Rib Lake to Little George. This is Little George Lake. I believe we go to the bottom on the right. Being Little George Lake, we're headed over to Carl. Well, we made it to Carl Lake. This is Carl Lake. We're only going to be on Carl Lake for a minute, and then we'll portage over to Long Island Lake. This is Carl Lake. We're getting ready to portage over to Long Island Lake. Well, we made it to Long Island Lake. So we came down from this campsite here on Cross Bay Lake. Came across this 56 rod portage where these falls are. Those are some pretty falls. Came down Rib Lake. Took this 37 rodder into Lower George Lake. Took the 28 rod over to Carl. Came across Carl. Portaged into Long Island Lake. And we came down this way. Came through here. Came through here. Came over to this campsite right here. Tomorrow we'll head down Long Island River over to Gordon Lake. And then we'll portage over here into Frost Lake. Hopefully we'll get a nice campsite over here. And then after that we'll be ready to start doing the Frost River. We're in camp on Long Island Lake. I just took a swim down there. The landing is sand, it's nice, except that this down tree is holding a bunch of still water in, and there's a bunch of leeches living down in there. I thought it was going to be a fantastic place to swim until I realized that. Oh, the leech is hiding under the rock. We're making a super easy lunch. Biscuits and gravy and breakfast skillet. That's what the biscuits and gravy looks like. Kind of looks like mush. Alright, that's what the breakfast skillet looks like. There's the tarp. Nice little shady spot over there to cook. The tent is up the hill on the way to the latrine. There's a lot of tent pads on this site, but it's kind of nice to separate the sleeping area from the kitchen if you can. Well, there it is, the throne. Some more tent pads over there. There's Dad's relaxation station. Check out the cool mushrooms. These are pretty neat looking. Hill is just full of fungus. Look at that big fella. That is a huge spider. Well, this is one of my snacks for the trip. These are homemade granola bars. They have dates, honey, peanut butter, peanuts, almonds, a dash of salt. They're pretty good. These are my breakfast for the trip. I make homemade granola. Tonight I'm making dehydrated chili, and we're going to have Fritos on that. There it is, dehydrated chili with Fritos.